What's up, you guys? Welcome to another action figure review. As today we're going to be looking at some Double Dragon figures from Tyco Toys released in 1993, which was inspired by the Double Dragon animated series. Now, if you haven't seen the Double Dragon animated series, it's basically a loose adaptation from the old NES games, and obviously it has nothing to do with the live action movie. But both of these brothers were separated at birth, as one of them was actually the villain and one of them was the good guy, and then eventually they came together and decided to work together to fight the forces of evil from the Shadow Master. And these 26 episodes were actually pretty nice, and it has a really cool, dark, deep storytelling within some of these episodes, as it does involve, like, that 90s heroic anthem of preventing kids from doing drugs and doing what's right, and just staying away from all the evil corruptions that were happening during these times. And one of the biggest life lessons that this animated series has taught me was not to do anything involving pollution. So I definitely suggest you check it out, because they did have some PSAs by the end of the episodes. So without wasting any more time, let's go ahead and take a look at these figures and see how good they really are. And again, it's very minimal articulation. There's nothing too drastic here, but again, for the early 90s, you can't go wrong with Double Dragon. So let's go ahead and take a look at each of these figures. Alright, so up first we're going to be taking a look at Billy Lee, and he is the martial arts instructor and the character that rocks the blue outfit. Now, the thing as a kid is that when they combined their Double Dragon powers and their swords, basically their chest lights up green, and they basically get this little armor aesthetic with the helmets, which does look pretty decent. Now, again, the translucent weapons do add some complementary contrast to it, with some weapons attached to it, which affects the gimmick here, but the whole overall design of it is actually really nice. I mean, they do look very accurate to the 90s animated series, and you can't really complain or go too wrong about it for its time. I mean, the spikes on the gauntlets look good. I love the color blues, the chest plate with the translucent green dragon logo. There's a gimmick here where on the back you can just see how old school toys, where you kind of just have to lift the lever, and then his arm goes up and it swings like that blade. But yeah, it's a bit loose, nothing too drastic there. And the overall design of the mask looks pretty scary and crazy to me, because as a kid I was kind of terrified by these, but now looking at them, they're pretty badass. I know that there's another company making these toys, not these exact toys, but just toys from the NES games, but I hope that one company can really reinvent these figures and kind of give us that old Double Dragon nostalgia that we all know and love. And just, again, everything about it is very minimal articulation just by the shoulders and the legs, no knees or elbows, but yeah, and just the neck as well. And if you were to remove the actual mask, you can just see his derpy head sculpt. Kind of looks like he has no neck whatsoever, but again, that's why I just love keeping the actual mask on, and it just looks better. So again, when they combine their dragon powers together, they basically have these masks that kind of showcase just more power to them, and it looks pretty badass. So that is Billy Lee. Up next, we're going to be taking a look at Jimmy Lee. He's basically the opposite design of what Billy Lee has to offer, as the spiked gauntlet is on the left arm, and then the gimmick is on the right leg, and they both contain the same dragon sword, which is cool. And he does have the Double Dragon logo on his chest, which also is translucent and lights up. But you can see that he's basically rocking the red outfit, and it does look pretty cool. The gimmick on here is that you can see there's a smaller lever on the side here, or on the back, and when you push it down, it just kicks that little blade up and down. And you don't want to do too much to loosen up the figure, because it's pretty tight for what it is, but I want to make sure you guys got the idea. The mask itself is in the blue form, and again, one of the things as a kid is that I wondered why the red Double Dragon character wore the blue and then the blue character wore the red. So as a kid, I used to just swap them out to make it more even, but then I realized that was inaccurate and this is more accurate. So again, the mask looks pretty dope, and if you were to actually remove it, you can see how he looks actually a little bit better than his brother. Now, within the actual animated series, He was the villain right in the beginning. And he was basically the Shadow Warrior under the guidance of the Shadow Master, but later he came to terms and realized what he was doing was evil and wrong, and then joined his brother to fight for good. And yeah, again, it's a pretty good storyline, a good animated series. It's just, very underappreciated and overlooked. So overall, it's the same concept as both of these figures, and let's do a side-by-side comparison. So that is Jimmy Lee. Now, seeing both of these characters together, like I mentioned before, they were separated at birth. They offered really cool martial arts and life lessons to the animated series and whoever was part of their roster. Now, they were also allies to the police department and helped them uncover certain crimes and drug dealings and pollution and anything involving like saving the earth type of style. So a really cool storyline. Now, in the animated series, there's a thing where their masks and their outfits actually update and upgrade into these cool looking armor pieces, which the Tyco versions did not offer. This is basically more of the basic series, whereas in the animated series, I believe by later on of season 1, they eventually turn into more hefty armor pieces with more intricate detail on the masks and stuff like that. So I wish there was toys of that, but unfortunately we did not get it. You put the power of the two swords together, which gives them these powers of, the martial arts and really cool badassery. So yeah, really cool and awesome looking figures. Not too much to say other than I wish another company would make them, hopefully one day in the future. So that is Billy Lee and that is Jimmy Lee. Alright, now as a bonus, we're going to be taking a look at my favorite character, aka Vortex, who was an orphan in the animated series. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he was a drug addict at some point in the series, but he eventually came to terms and learned his ways. I love this figure the most because, again, green is my favorite color, and I always love when there's another figure added to the roster, and he's a really cool looking character. I mean, he's got the grays and the emeralds, greens with the dragon logo right there, and then he has like a golden dragon mask, which looks freaking awesome, and he comes with these nice looking golden, blades, I suppose. His gimmick is something that I don't want to do on screen because you kind of have to twist his body like this, and then when you press the the cut on the back of his shirt, he basically spins, but I guess the gimmick isn't necessarily working right now. So, and if you were to actually remove the mask, you can see he's a pretty decent looking guy. He's more on the younger side, and again, he was his parents, I believe, were killed in a house fire, which was very deadly for the animated series and for kids to watch at that age. So that's when Billy Lee and Jimmy Lee kind of took him in and guided him under the martial arts and protecting and fighting for good. So overall, the figure itself is just really, really cool. I mean, even though he's shorter than both the other two figures, I absolutely like it. So I just wished that there was more characters added to it, and there is, but nothing in comparison to having these color schemes to it, and having a third figure is a nice addition to it, because I always love when they add like a green character to a roster of already established characters and colors. So other than that, I love the gold little bull style or dragon horns, which looks really nice, and same on this side. He does have little spikes on the side of his ankles, and yeah, nice muscle definition, very beefy, and looks pretty cool. So I like this figure and I'm happy to have him. So that is Vortex. Alright, you guys, so that was my Double Dragons collection, as there's only 3 figures and there's supposed to be more within this character roster, but I only decided to get the 3 main figures that were essential part of the actual storyline within the Double Dragon animated series. So we have Billy Lee, we have Jimmy Lee, and we have Vortex. And again, there's also the villains like the Shadow Master, but I really wanted to just focus on the main characters. And again, one day I will do a whole updated video where I talk about the other characters as well, and possibly the vehicles, but for now this will be a nice lighthearted video. And again, the 90s was full of martial arts and 90s nostalgia, so this really captures in that glory of 90s animated series. So I want to thank you guys all for watching. Be sure to give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next episode.